Before we get started on this video, I'd like everybody watching to close their eyes, picture me in your heads. I know, it's a wonderful image. And then imagine the reactions if I used the women's changing rooms at a gym. That's what this video is about. Not me using the women's changing rooms, people thinking I should. Just to clarify. Hello Spuds, how's it going? What's up? I hope you're well. It's Jamie and today we're here for a rant. We are having a rant on this channel. I do really enjoy keeping it very positive here, but sometimes bullshit just comes up that has to be discussed and just smacked down due to its stupidity. Today we're talking about something particularly ridiculous. I'm sure you've all heard of the trans bathroom debate. Now prepare yourselves for the trans changing room debate, because apparently that's a thing now. I've been seeing on Twitter and news articles and was actually tagged by somebody as well on Twitter, fellow Jamie, hello, thank you for the tag, about a policy that a certain gym group in the UK has brought into effect, or a spokesperson has said is a policy that they have. It made me mad. Mad enough to make an entire video about it. So basically, I don't know if you guys have heard of a gym chain called David Lloyd's gyms. I hadn't before this happened. Maybe it's all a publicity stunt, I don't know. But basically, a spokesperson for them told Huffington Post that they had a policy that meant that any transgender members who could not produce a gender recognition certificate would have to use the changing facilities of their birth gender. Meaning that without a gender recognition certificate, trans women would have to use the male changing facilities and trans men would have to use the female changing facilities. Not something I think will go down particularly well if it actually happens. As a bit of background for those of you from outside the UK, or if you just don't know what a gender recognition certificate is, I'm going to call it GRC from now on because that's a mouthful and I just tell I'm going to mess it up many times if not. So GRCs are very expensive pieces of paper and certificates that allow trans people in the UK to legally change their gender and change their birth certificate. Other than that, they're pretty useless. You can change your name legally, your passport, your driving license, your name at like the bank and at workplaces and your doctors and all of these other places without the necessity for a GRC and without the necessity to show people you have a GRC even if you do. That's the short story. Unless you're getting married or you really need to change your birth certificate, there is not a great deal of need for it, and there is no obligation for trans people in the UK to obtain one. Not only is it reasonably useless, in my opinion, I'm sure it's really useful for some people in like certain circumstances, but it's also kind of convoluted to get hold of. It's a difficult process. Some people find it really uncomfortable. I don't like the idea of the whole process. It's also expensive, so some people just can't afford to do it. And as there are discussions in changing the Gender Recognition Act, a lot of trans people, including myself, are kind of waiting to see what happens with this. I will only get a GRC as the process currently stands if I absolutely have to. Anyway, back to the video. So basically, this gym chain, David Lloyd's gyms, just so that we're clear who they are, have stated that transgender members of their gym must produce a GRC to literally be able to use the correct changing rooms at their gyms. How does that make sense? It is 2019, people. Come on, why are we still having these debates? Why are these still coming up as new things? This is not only ridiculous and, in my opinion, unenforceable, it's actually strongly argued as a violation of UK equality law, as you cannot demand to see somebody's GRC. As far as I'm aware, workplaces don't even see them and cannot ask to see them. So why a gym thinks they have any right, I don't know. And let's also make it clear that this is not an isolated incident. For some reason, the previous time this happened, I didn't notice. I don't know why, maybe it wasn't talked about enough, but somebody called Duncan Bannatyne, who you might have heard of, he owns Bannatyne health and fitness clubs in the UK, quite a lot of them. I used to go to one of these, and basically, he said that their gyms have had the same policy for quite some time. So trans people are free to use his gyms and work out and enjoy them, but oh wait, no, you must use the incorrect changing rooms for your gender. So great, you're welcome to pay us and use the facilities, but just, you have to use these ones where you don't actually belong, but we think you do because we're ignorant. I always feel like when stuff like this happens, it just shows a huge lack of awareness and misunderstanding in what it means to be trans and who trans people actually are and the whole process. And if people just did a little bit of Googling before saying these things, they would not look quite as stupid. I mean, it's like saying we don't care how you're perceived or seen by others or how you identify. If you cannot produce this expensive and difficult to obtain certificate that we have no right requesting and makes no impact on how you actually appear, identify, or how far you are in your transition, then you must use the wrong changing rooms. As frustrating as it is, and as mad as you can probably clearly tell I am that stuff like this is still happening, I personally see this as a completely unenforceable policy. It's a policy that by coming out and saying, you just make yourself as a company look stupid and will probably lose business in the long run. I mean, this story will run out of steam very quickly and it will not be talked about anymore after like another 2 days. But how are they going to enforce it? So if I join one of those gyms, as I was a member at Ballantyne's, maybe even when this policy was in effect, how would they know I am a trans person? Unless I told them, which obviously I wouldn't, knowing that they had these policies. I wouldn't anyway, because I don't just sign up for new things and be like, hello, I'm Jamie, I'm transgender. But how would they know? How would they even know to ask me for a GRC to prove anything if they didn't know I was trans in the first place? Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And even if you had a suspicion that somebody maybe earlier on in their transition or something was trans, what are you going to do if they tell you they're not? It's very strange. It's confusing me a lot. If you guys can make sense of it or have anything to add to this, then please let me know in the comments below. I really hope you don't mind me making videos like this. I know that they're not like my usual kind of positive, happy thing, but sometimes it's important to talk about the shit stuff as well. I'm sorry. If you do have any other topics or anything you've heard, good or bad, then leave it down in the comments below. Let's have a chat. Leave your opinions. I want to know what you have to say. And yeah, think about giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing if you liked it. I know you probably might not have liked the topic of this video, but if you like me, hello, no pressure though if you don't want to. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Much love. Bye.